Hello, everyone, and welcome back to English World. I'm Emily. I'm really happy you're here today.
Hey, Emily. And hello to everyone listening. It feels really good to sit here again, like coming back to a place that feels familiar and comfortable. Nothing loud, nothing demanding.
Yes, that familiar feeling matters. A space where English doesn't feel heavy. A space where you're not being tested.
Exactly. No pressure to sound perfect. No pressure to speak fast. Just a quiet place to breathe.
If you're listening right now, maybe you've had a long day. Maybe your mind feels busy. Or maybe you're just taking a short break.
Whatever the reason, you're welcome here. You don't need energy. You don't need confidence. Just curiosity is enough.
Today we're talking about English phrases people use every day. Not grammar rules, not long explanations.
Just simple phrases. The kind people say without thinking, but learners often stop and hesitate.
You might hear these phrases at work, in a shop, on the street, or when meeting someone new.
And many learners think, I understand this phrase, but I'm not sure when to use it.
That feeling is very common and very human.
Sometimes the words are in your head, but your voice doesn't move.
And that can feel frustrating, a little discouraging.
You might start thinking, why is this so hard for me?
But the truth is, it's not about intelligence and it's not about ability.
It's about comfort and experience and feeling safe enough to try.
So today, we're going to slow everything down. We'll take one phrase at a time.
We'll talk about what it really means, how people use it, and what kind of response feels natural.
We'll also share real situations, not perfect situations, just normal, everyday moments.
Moments where English is used simply and quietly and without pressure.
You don't need to remember all 20 phrases. That's not the goal.
Even one phrase today is already progress.
Learning English doesn't need speed, it needs patience.
And kindness, especially toward yourself.
So let's start like this. Calm, friendly, and step by step.
All right, let's begin together.
1. Let's begin with a phrase you have probably heard many times already, even if you are still new to English, and maybe you hear it often without fully thinking about what it really means.
This phrase sounds like a real question at first, but in everyday conversation, it usually works very differently than learners expect.
Yes, and that is important to understand because when people say, "How's it going?" they are not asking for details about your day or your personal life.
They're not asking what happened to you or how you are really feeling inside. They're simply opening a small, friendly moment of connection.
So this phrase is more about being polite and friendly and much less about sharing real information.
That is why you hear it so often at work, with neighbors, or even with people you do not know very well.
People use it because it feels light, easy, and natural, and because it helps conversations start smoothly.
There is no pressure inside this phrase, and there should be no pressure when you respond to it.
Let's imagine a very common situation together.
You arrive at work in the morning. You walk past a coworker in the hallway, and they smile slightly and say, "Hey, how's it going?"
In that moment, they are not stopping you for a long conversation. They are simply being polite and friendly as they pass.
So your response can stay very simple and relaxed, without needing to explain anything extra.
You might say, "It's going well, thanks," and then continue walking without any awkward feeling.
Or you could say, "Pretty good. How about you?" Which sounds equally natural and complete.
Both responses are already enough, and no extra explanation is expected or required.
Now imagine another situation that happens very often.
You walk into a small shop, and the cashier looks at you and says, "How's it going?"
In this situation, you really do not need to think too much or prepare an answer.
You can calmly respond with something simple like, "Good, thanks," even if your day is not actually perfect.
Because again, this phrase is polite rather than personal, and you are matching the friendly feeling, not telling the full story of your day.
Some learners worry and think, "What if my day is bad and I don't feel good?"
That's completely okay, because English allows soft and neutral answers too.
You can say, "Not bad," or "Doing okay," and both sound natural and honest without being heavy.
One last example before we move on.
Imagine you meet a neighbor you haven't seen in a while, and they stop and say, "Oh, hey, how's it going?"
You can smile and say something like, "It's going all right. Hope you're doing well," which feels friendly, calm, and comfortable.
So remember, "How's it going?" is a casual, friendly, and light phrase, and you don't need confidence or perfect English to use it well.
A simple, calm response is already enough, and that's exactly how real conversations end naturally.
Now let's move gently to another phrase that feels very warm and very human, and one that often brings a natural smile when people hear it. Long time no see.
Hmm. This phrase is interesting because the grammar is not perfect, but the feeling behind it is very natural and friendly.
Yes, and that's important to remember because English is not only about grammar, it's also about how people actually speak in real life.
When someone says long time no see, they're not focusing on correct sentence structure. They're focusing on connection and familiarity.
This phrase is used when you meet someone again after not seeing them for some time, and the time doesn't have to be very long.
It could be a few weeks, a few months, or even just longer than usual.
What matters is the feeling, not the exact amount of time.
Let's imagine a very common situation together.
You are walking down the street, and suddenly you see an old friend or a colleague you haven't talked to in a while.
They stop, look at you, smile, and say, "Oh, long time no see."
In that moment, they are expressing familiarity and also a little happiness about meeting you again.
Your response doesn't need to be complicated, and it doesn't need to explain why you were busy.
You can simply smile back and say, "Yes, long time no see," and that already completes the moment naturally.
You might also add something small, like, "How have you been?" if you feel comfortable continuing the conversation.
That keeps the interaction friendly, but still relaxed and pressure-free.
Now let's look at another situation.
You return to work after a vacation or after being away for some time, and you see a coworker you usually talk to.
They might look at you and say, "Hey, long time no see."
Even if it was only 2 weeks, this phrase still feels natural and polite.
You can respond with something like, "Yes, it feels good to be back," or "Yes, I was away for a bit."
You do not need to explain everything because the phrase is about reconnecting, not about giving details.
Now let's imagine a more casual and relaxed situation.
You open your phone and you see someone you haven't messaged in a long time, and you decide to meet or call them.
When you see them, you might naturally say, "Wow, long time no see."
This shows warmth, and it shows that the person still matters to you.
It helps restart conversations without feeling awkward or forced.
Some learners worry and think, "What if it really was a very long time?"
That's actually when this phrase works best because it acknowledges the time gently without blaming or explaining.
So remember, long time no see is friendly, casual, and very common in spoken English.
You don't need perfect grammar. You don't need confidence. You just need a smile at a natural tone.
And that's exactly how real conversations grow again.
Now let's move gently to another phrase that you hear very often, especially at the end of conversations, and one that sounds simple but carries a warm and friendly feeling.
Have a good one.
This phrase sounds like a little incomplete, but native speakers understand it immediately.
Yes, and that's because one usually means day, or sometimes evening or time ahead.
People don't say the full sentence because English speakers often shorten phrases when the meaning is already clear.
So when someone says, have a good one, they are wishing you well before the conversation ends.
This phrase is very casual, very friendly, and very common in daily life.
You hear it a lot in shops, at work, on phone calls, and even with strangers.
Let's imagine a simple situation together.
You are buying something in a small store, and the cashier finishes your bill and hands you the receipt. They smile and say, have a good one.
In that moment, they're not starting a conversation, they're closing it politely.
You don't need to stop or respond with a long answer. You can simply say, you too, or thanks, you too, and keep walking.
That response is already perfect and very natural.
Now let's imagine another situation.
You're finishing a phone call with a coworker, or maybe with customers.
Now, let's move into a phrase that is especially important for English learners and also surprisingly common among native speakers.
This phrase carries a lot of relief because it gives you permission to slow the conversation down.
Yes, and that's the most important part. This phrase is not about weakness, it's about clarity.
Many learners think they should understand everything immediately, and when they don't, they feel embarrassed
But in real life, people miss things all the time.
because of noise, because of accents, because someone spoke too fast.
So asking someone to repeat themselves is completely normal.
Let's imagine a very common situation.
You are talking to a coworker, and they explain something quickly.
Maybe they say, we'll move the meeting to Thursday afternoon after the client call.
But you didn't catch the last part clearly.
Instead of guessing, you can calmly say, sorry, could you repeat that please?
That small sentence changes everything.
It shows you are listening and that you care about understanding correctly.
And most people respond kindly.
They usually slow down and explain again more clearly.
Now imagine another situation.
You're on the phone, maybe speaking with customer support or booking something.
The person gives you information, like a time, a number, or an address.
If the line is unclear, you don't need to panic.
You can politely say, could you repeat that, please?
This sounds respectful, not demanding, not impatient.
Now imagine a casual situation.
You're talking with a friend or someone you just met.
You say something softly or maybe too quickly.
You can smile and say, could you repeat that, please, without any tension.
It keeps the conversation flowing instead of stopping it.
Some learners worry and think, what if they get annoyed?
That's a very common fear.
But in reality, most people prefer repeating themselves rather than being misunderstood.
Because misunderstandings create bigger problems later.
Exactly. This phrase actually helps communication.
You can also soften it slightly.
You might say, sorry, could you repeat that, please, to sound even gentler.
That small word, sorry, adds politeness, not guilt.
So remember, you don't need to pretend you understood.
Understanding is more important than sounding confident.
And this phrase gives you time, space, and calm.
It allows English to move at your pace.
And that's how real conversations work.
Now, let's move gently into a phrase that helps you understand conversations more deeply without sounding confused and without stopping the natural flow of English. What do you mean by...
This phrase is very powerful because it helps you ask for clarity without saying, I don't understand.
Yes, and that difference matters a lot. This phrase sounds thoughtful, not uncertain.
It shows that you are listening carefully and that you want to understand the meaning, not just the words.
Many learners hear English sentences but feel unsure about one part of the message.
Maybe a word, maybe an idea, or maybe an expression they haven't heard before.
Instead of staying silent or guessing the meaning, this phrase gives you a calm way to ask.
Let's imagine a workplace situation.
Your colleague says, we need to touch base with the team before moving forward.
You understand most of the sentence, but the phrase touch base feels unclear.
You can calmly respond by saying, what do you mean by touch base?
This sounds natural and it invites explanation.
Your colleague might say, Oh, I mean we should have a quick meeting or check in with everyone.
And just like that, the confusion disappears.
Now imagine another situation.
You're talking with a friend, and they say, that plan feels a bit risky.
You're not sure what part feels risky to them.
Instead of guessing, you can gently ask, what do you mean by risky?
This keeps the conversation open and shows interest.
It doesn't sound defensive, and it doesn't sound challenging.
Now let's imagine a third situation which happens very often.
You're learning English, and someone uses an unfamiliar word.
They might say, "This solution is very efficient."
You can pause for a moment and say, what do you mean by efficient?
This tells the other person that you want to learn, not that you are lost.
And most people are happy to explain.
Some learners worry that asking questions will make them look weak.
But actually, this phrase does the opposite.
It makes you sound engaged, curious, and thoughtful.
Native speakers use this phrase all the time in meetings and discussions.
You can also adjust the phrase slightly depending on the situation.
For example, what do you mean by that? Or, what do you mean by this word?
All of these sound polite and natural.
So remember, you don't need to understand everything immediately.
Understanding grows through questions.
And this phrase helps English feel clearer, not heavier.
It allows you control over the conversation without pressure.
And that's a very important skill. Now, let's move into a phrase that helps you ask for help clearly without feeling uncomfortable and without needing perfect English. I'm looking for.
This phrase is very practical and very common in daily life. Yes, and it's especially helpful when you need something, but you don't want to sound demanding.
It sounds polite, calm, and clear.
Many learners think they need long sentences to ask for help.
But this phrase does the work for you.
You can use it in shops, offices, streets, and public places.
Let's imagine a simple situation.
You walk into a store and you don't know where something is.
Instead of saying many words, you can simply say, I'm looking for a jacket.
That's already enough.
The shop assistant understands immediately that you need help.
They might respond by saying, "Oh, it's over there," or "Let me show you."
Now let's imagine another situation.
You're in an office building and you're not sure where to go.
You can approach someone and say, excuse me, I'm looking for the meeting room.
This sounds polite and respectful.
You don't sound lost. You sound confident enough to ask.
Now let's imagine a third situation.
You're in a new city and you need directions.
You can stop someone and say, "I'm looking for the bus station."
This feels natural and people usually want to help.
You don't need to explain everything.
You don't need to apologize.
This phrase already explains your situation.
Some learners worry about pronunciation here.
But even if it's not perfect, people understand the intention.
You can also add small words to make it softer.
For example, "I'm just looking for a quiet place to sit."
Or, I'm looking for some information about this.
These small additions make your English feel flexible
This phrase also reduces fear.
because you don't need to plan a long sentence.
You just say what you need.
And then you listen.
That takes pressure away.
So remember, "I'm looking for" is simple, useful, and powerful.
It helps you move forward instead of staying silent.
And it turns confusion into connection. You know, Paul, when people hear the word practice, they often imagine something heavy.
Yes, like studying for hours or repeating sentences again and again until their head feels tired.
Exactly. Practice starts to feel like pressure instead of support.
And pressure makes speaking harder, not easier.
That's something many learners don't realize. They think they need more effort, but often they need less.
Less forcing, less judging, less comparing.
Practice doesn't need to look serious. It doesn't need to feel strict.
Sometimes practice is just noticing. Noticing how words feel in your mouth. Noticing when your body relaxes.
That awareness matters more than people think.
I remember when I stopped trying to sound good and started trying to sound real.
That's a big shift, and it changes everything.
My sentences didn't get longer, they didn't get smarter, but they felt easier.
Ease is powerful. It gives you space to continue,
And when speaking feels easier, you speak more often.
which means you practice without realizing it.
That's the best kind of practice.
Some people ask, how much should I practice every day?
And honestly, that question can be unhelpful.
Because it turns practice into a task, something to measure, something to fail at.
Instead, it helps to ask a softer question.
Like, where can I let English exist today?
Maybe it's one sentence. Maybe it's a short thought. Maybe it's just listening and responding quietly.
All of that counts. None of it is wasted.
Practice doesn't always mean speaking out loud. Sometimes it means preparing gently inside.
Yes, thinking in English, responding silently, repeating a phrase once.
Those moments build familiarity, and familiarity builds confidence.
Not loud confidence, not dramatic confidence,
But quiet confidence, the kind that feels steady.
the kind that stays with you even when you feel unsure.
I think people underestimate that. They want big change quickly.
But language grows slowly, like trust, like comfort.
And slow growth feels safer, more stable.
When practice feels safe, you come back to it.
And coming back is what matters most.
Not perfection, not speed, just returning.
Again and again, in your own way, at your own pace.
That's a practice mindset. Not pushing, not proving.
Just allowing yourself to speak as you are today.
You know, Paul, as we slowly come toward the end, I'm noticing something in myself.
Yeah? What are you noticing?
I feel lighter. Not excited, not emotional, just lighter. It's a quiet feeling.
Yeah, I get that. It feels like setting something down that you didn't even realize you were carrying.
Yes, exactly. Like letting go of quiet tension, the kind that sits there for a long time.
That feels like a good place to finish. Not rushed, not forced, just soft.
I think many people listening right now might feel something similar right now, even if they can't explain it.
Especially if this topic touched something personal for them.
Because fear around speaking, it can live very quietly inside people.
Yeah, and people carry it alone.
They don't always talk about it. They just avoid situations or stay silent.
Or they tell themselves, I'll speak later. I've said that before.
Me too. But later keeps moving. It doesn't really wait.
And time just passes.
So ending this conversation gently feels important, not dramatic, not loud.
Yeah, just reassuring.
If you're listening right now, I want you to hear this slowly.
You don't need to rush it.
You don't need to feel brave. Not today. Not yet.
You don't need confidence first. That usually comes later anyway.
You don't need perfect grammar or perfect pronunciation.
You don't even need clear sentences all the time.
You only need permission. And honestly, that permission can come from you.
Permission to try. Permission to pause. Permission to sound unsure.
Because uncertainty, it's part of learning. It always has been.
Learning is not a performance. It's not something you show.
It's something you move through, slowly.
Some days you move forward. It feels good.
Some days you stay still. That's okay too.
And some days you feel like you step back.
Yeah, and even that is normal.
None of this means failure. It just means you're human.
If fear shows up when you speak, you don't need to fight it.
You can notice it and still continue very gently.
Fear often gets smaller when it isn't pushed away.
It relaxes when it's allowed to exist.
That's something many people don't realize.
They think fear must disappear first, but it usually doesn't.
Fear often leaves after action begins, even small action.
Like saying one sentence or answering briefly.
Or not stopping yourself halfway through a thought.
Those moments matter more than people think.
They build trust with the language and with yourself.
And that trust, it grows quietly. You don't notice it right away.
One day, you suddenly realize you're speaking, And you're not watching yourself anymore.
You're listening, you're responding, you're just there. That moment feels surprising.
And very real.
Not perfect, not fluent, but honest and natural.
And honestly, that's more than enough. So if today felt calm or familiar or comforting in any way,
Hold on to that feeling, even a little.
you can come back to it when things feel hard again.
It's always there. You don't lose it.
We're really grateful you spent this time with us.
Yeah, thank you for listening so patiently.
Thank you for being present. That matters.
And thank you for trusting yourself enough to sit here and listen.
If this space feels helpful to you,
Please stay with us. Subscribe to English World.
and if you feel like it, you can give this video a like.
It helps this calm space reach more people who need it.
And if someone you know is afraid to speak English,
Sharing this might help them feel a little less alone.
before we say goodbye, we want to leave you with one thought.
Not homework, not pressure.
Just a gentle idea.
What is one small moment today where English can exist naturally?
It could be a thought, a word, or just listening.
It doesn't need to be spoken. It just needs to feel possible.
That is enough. Truly.
We'll be back soon with another quiet conversation.
Until then, be patient with yourself.
Be kind, even on the hard days.
And keep going. Slowly. At your own pace.
Bye, and see you next time.